it low. I can, stay upside down.
The Shutter. This next one is from caller Sony. This one goes out to Chris Howe. Sounds like someone misses you.
How do I tell you I need you when you still the breath in my lungs?
Hi everybody, my name is Chris Howe and I make internet videos for a living. I do commercial work. I make contents on the internet, and somehow my opinion when it comes to cameras matters. So previous to this partnership that I did with Lumix, I used to be exclusively a Sony shooter, not like contractually or anything like that. I just liked using their gear. And then I was approached by Lumix to use their equipment for the last 3 months, specifically the Lumix S5. I also dabbled a little bit with the GH6 and the LX100 too, but most of my time was spent with the Lumix S5 exclusively, only shooting with that camera. I'm talking photos, I'm talking commercial work, I'm talking YouTube videos. Anything that I made was made with that camera. And I'm going to answer the bigger question, am I going to move back to the Sony system at the end of this video? But why don't we kickstart this video with the good things about using the Lumix S5, because I've actually quite enjoyed using this camera for the last couple months. We're going to start with IBIS. Now, with my previous experience with other camera systems, the one thing I didn't like about 24 frames per second storytelling, or if you're European, 25 frames per second, you would get micro jitters when you shot, especially without image stabilized lenses. And that was something I really didn't like. So I always found myself shooting in like higher frame rates, like 30, 60, or 120. And when I started using the Lumix S5, the first thing I noticed was like, this looks really great handheld. It gives you this beautiful floating look. It looks similar to when you would rig up a big camera and use like a ready rig, but you don't have to have those like horns sticking out of your body to be able to get that type of shot. Then they have levels of image stabilization, so you can like boost up the image stabilization. So having this all built into the camera is so useful, especially when you start storytelling in 24 frames per second, which is something that we've done a lot more of on this channel. And that is a big standout feature of the Lumix S5 is the image stabilization, also known as the IBIS. So the S5 is up to par in terms of like what we would expect in color these days from a camera. It shoots 422, 10-bit, and the color looks so good. But let's focus more on the Vlog color profile. You know, you shoot Vlog, you throw the Rec 709, it looks good, and we start adding the layers and color grading. It's really just so easy to manipulate and get the colors that you want right out of the gate without too much trouble. Like I can color grade specifically in Premiere Pro and I'm happy with the image. And that's a really nice thing when it comes to just getting used to using a camera for the first time. A really surprising feature about this camera is that it shoots 6K raw video when you pair it with the Atomos Ninja 5. There's a few reasons why this is kind of nice. Number one, having raw video is very good when you're doing a run and gun shoot, because you never know if you screw up a couple settings and you're able to fix that in post-production later. Number two, it's a bit of an upsell feature for clients. If you show up and you say, hey, we can shoot this in 6K raw, you can be like, it's only an extra $500, and now you have all this really beautiful footage to play around with. A lot of the times the clients are going to go for that. And number three is that if you have a special project that you want to put more effort into, you want to send that off to get color graded, well, you have the ability to do that. So is it something that I will use all the time? No, but in the right situation, this is such a great tool to have access to, rather than going, oh, I have to get a completely different camera that shoots raw or other setups to be able to shoot raw. No, the camera that I already own shoots raw. This camera has an anamorphic shooting mode, which is something I actually didn't explore, shooting anamorphic with an anamorphic lens, mainly because I didn't have access to one to be able to go out and do it. But what I did realize by shooting anamorphic mode is that I can go from 16:9 to shooting 4:3. And I didn't realize how important this was to me until we started shooting 4:3 footage and being able to repurpose that footage for TikTok and Instagram, because short form content has become extremely popular this year, and you want to make sure that you're hitting as many platforms as possible, or at least that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be on TikTok, we're trying to be on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and YouTube, full-length videos. This feature alone could mean I just stick with Lumix. In terms of our needs, the demands that are put on us for our position and what I do as an influencer and content creator and internet video person, I need to be able to repurpose footage so I can grow my accounts and grow this business. And that is so important, is being able to shoot 4:3. All right, so let's talk about the design and the ergonomics of this camera. Obviously, it is very light, it's small, it's kind of understated, which I personally like. It's very sleek. I like the red on it. But despite how it looks, let's talk about how it feels in the hand. Fits very naturally, doesn't feel small or too big. It feels comfortable when you hold it. But more specifically, the button placement is absolutely impeccable. I really like that you have the option to click ISO and white balance and the exposure compensation within the top 3 buttons. It also has a flippy screen, which in my personal preference is the type of screen I like to shoot with. I actually sold my Sony A1 because it didn't have a flippy screen. I also like having the flippy screen for photography. I think having it for photography is very important to me because I like being able to shoot high, low, and all the weird angles. And I like the flippy screen when I'm shooting both photo and video. These were some of the other standout things that I really liked about the camera. Great battery life. I never really felt that I noticed the battery dying too quickly. It seemed pretty on par with all the other camera brands that have long-lasting batteries. It also has some pro features like histograms and focus peaking and zebras, which are all features that cinematographers and videographers all really want because it helps them nail the shot. I also found the weather sealing to be quite standout on this camera. I was shooting out in the desert in Italy. There was like big sandstorms coming all the time, and I never noticed that I got any dust or dirt or that ever really impacted the workflow or the operations of the camera. And I actually remember reading a story online where someone said that they actually fell in a lake in the wintertime. The whole camera got submerged. They pulled it out and water didn't get in on the sensor or anything else on the camera, and it just still worked afterwards. Then you have to put it in with rice. It just continued to work even after it was dunked into freezing cold water. Did I say dunked on? Like dunked, it's like a basketball of water hit me. Dumped on, but I didn't want to say dumped because that's kind of like an uncomfortable word. So I said dunked. Now it's even more awkward because I pointed it out. Let's talk about photos. This camera actually slaps when it comes to photos. Look at me. I'm such an elder millennial. It slaps. That's a good word. And it means it's very good at taking photos. I got all these amazing shots at this race event, and pretty much anywhere I placed the little like focus button or had subject mode on, it captured the shot that I wanted to. Plus at 24 megapixels, this is absolutely everything that I need to be able to take a great shot, to print it, to post it to social media, to crop and do whatever else I need with the photo. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the thing that I was going to be worried about the most when it came to actually using this camera, and that is the autofocus. And yes, I will say it, I did experience some autofocus issues while using this camera, specifically when I was shooting 24 frames per second, mostly doing setups like the one that you're looking at right now. I would have it locked on my face, I'd be talking, and if I like kind of turned my head a little bit, it's like, oh, where did the face go for that quick second? So that is one of the things. I would say 91% of the time it would nail the focus, and then 9% of the time it would kind of like waver ever so slightly and then come back. And that isn't really that big of an issue when it comes to how I create content. I'm a YouTuber. If I miss focus, people aren't going to be screaming or yelling at me in the comment section. And if I was doing work for a client, I'm most likely going to be behind the camera monitoring it or pulling focus manually. So I don't think the autofocus is as big of a problem that a lot of people make it out to be. So let's answer the big question. Am I moving back to Sony? No, I'm not. But am I only going to be shooting with Lumix? No, I'm not. I already can tell that you're probably disappointed by that answer, and it's because I do have the privilege of being able to shoot with both systems. See, I've already invested a lot into the Sony system, and I have all those lenses already. I also have the Lumix system and a lot of lenses there, and I'm going to use the right tool for the right job. But in this case, after using it for the last 3 months, the right tool is most likely going to be the Lumix in most cases, and it goes back to that big anamorphic mode that I was talking about earlier. Because the demands of my job are so focused on social media and being able to be everywhere all the time, which is overwhelming, by the way, but it's also the harsh reality of the world that we live in 2022. So a lot of the times, because we're doing so much repurposing, we're going to be shooting with this camera. I also just noticed that color grading with Vlog was just a lot easier than color grading with S-Log, and those two features alone trump the autofocus because those bring more value to me than a shot that is slightly out of focus. The camera is also just priced so competitively. It's $1,500 when it's on sale, sometimes even $2,000 with the kit lens. And when you look at other cameras that are similar in terms of specs and what you're gonna get, those cameras are literally priced twice as high as this camera here. You can buy 2 of these cameras for the same price as your competitor. And the other nice thing is that if you're a beginner, you can buy this camera and you can stay with it for a really long time. You can grow into it because it has so many pro features. I mean, we talked about it in so many different videos on this channel where you can rig it up to look like it's a pro camera on set. You can set it up for so many different levels of production, everything from like a small beginner YouTube setup all the way to shooting a feature film if you really wanted to. I have heard rumors that Lumix is bringing phase detect autofocus to their camera lineup in the upcoming months. Again, this is just hearsay. I can't confirm that. Once they introduce phase detect autofocus, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the industry and what people are going to start using, because I could see myself just switching over to Lumix fully. And that's of my opinion right now in this situation. If you want to learn more about the Lumix S5, specifically the 6K RAW and how you actually can start selling stock footage that you shoot with 6K RAW, I will leave a link to this video here, and hopefully you'll make an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month because of this video. I have IBIS. It sounds kind of gross, doesn't it? But it's very positive in the camera world. Got IBS, but I got IBIS.